Friends, family, fans, welcome back to another episode of Back 9 Bets, episode 159. Return of the Mac, or Roy, or MacMillian. Either way, we shall see how the show goes. As always, the show is brought to you by DraftKings. Really appreciate them sponsoring the show. Use code FGD when signing up over there. My guest this week is my fellow Sports Illustrated betting expert panelist, Iain MacMillian. How are you doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon, Ian?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for having me on. I've been wanting to do a show of some sort with you here, I guess the past year, 2 years. So it's fun to be on here. It's fun to do a show with you. It's fun to talk some golf. We're getting into the meat of the season now. So and I'm overdue to hit an outright winner. So maybe it'll happen this week. Maybe being on this show will be good luck for me.
You see, I don't even consider myself overdue. I just expect not to hit an outright winner pretty much every single week. So, it's kind of how we roll on the show. Yeah, but we were chatting before we went live. You're up on the props on the panel,
yes.
Which, if you are a regular listener to the show, you will know that we pride ourselves on profitability over a long-term period, just grinding out those units, in the placement markets, making sure that we can subsidize the outrights and the first round leaders and everything else that happens. Because golf is nightmarish to bet on. I was telling Kenny last week, I bet on Christopher Wrighton for a round 2 leader.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him the same question. I'll ask you. If a golfer, Christopher Wrighton, hits 17 greens in regulation and makes 6 birdies, what do you think he would shoot in that round?
I mean, you'd think that he would shoot a 67,
68. I would have even taken a 69. He shot a 70 by missing 1 green and made 6 birdies to finish T6 outside of the T5, which I needed. So that is the epitome of golf betting.
Yeah, and I've already suffered my bad beat for the year on Hideki a couple of weeks ago. Just needing a par on the last hole to win. So, that's golf betting. I mean, I think we all kind of know this. All of us who are kind of in this space and bet on golf, we know that betting outrights and betting first round leaders and second round leaders, that you're not going to make a long term profit doing that. You just aren't. But you do it because it's fun when they rarely do hit, especially if it's a big hitter, like. My favorite sports betting memory is Brian Harman. I had him at 120-1 to win the Open a few years ago. It's kind of worth it for those moments, but we need to be profitable on prop bets because long-term, that's kind of where you can, if you look in the right markets and you're smart about it, you can kind of find an edge in some props, but outrights are purely just for fun, just for the love of the game.
They are. But I will also say last year, Cristobal Del Solar yanked me out of the gutter with epic vigor, and it was that first round leader at 300-1 over in Canada. Ooh. your home country there. It was chopped, but the each way market took care of business quite nicely there because
I was there. I was at that event.
Yes. Which days were you there for?
Thursday and was I there all 4 days? I don't remember. Thursday and Sunday for sure. I might not have gone Saturday.
Yeah, it's. Are you going back this year?
Yes, I believe if I'm around, I believe I will be. Okay. Yes. Wasn't that you last year? Wasn't I? Was it you who I did a boots on the ground video and my
your headphones were scratching. Yes,
my headphones were scratching against the lanyard thing that I had around my neck, my press pass. So yeah. Shout out.
We've come full circle now.
Yes.
Canada meet the model maniac. So that was a good event for both of us. It seems then. So it's how was the course and the logistics of Canada there, because I know we're going back there again this year.
Yeah, it's called TPC Toronto. It's not in Toronto. It's like an hour drive north of Toronto. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. But that's kind of what you need for a PGA Tour event, just because there's parking. Like everyone always says that there's why isn't a PGA Tour event here or there, all these nice courses? It's it's not just about the golf course. It's about the logistics. You need space for parking. A lot of cars parking at a PGA Tour event. You need space for grandstands, along the edges of the holes. So TPC Toronto did that. It certainly has enough space for all those things, but it's not exactly the most creative course in the world. I actually played it a few weeks after the Canadian Open. I mean, it's fine. It's a fun course, but it is kind of straightforward.
What's your golf
there's
game,
nothing really too
buddy?
special about it.
What's your handicap?
It's not good. I'm really bad at golf. I'm really bad.
What's your best score?
I've yet to break 90. 91 is my best score.
That's
I started
terrible.
late in life. I didn't start golfing until I was 23. And I was just starting to get better. And then I moved to New York for 4 years. And it's very hard to golf while living in Manhattan because it's hour and a half long train ride if you want to go golf somewhere. So my golf game then fell off a cliff from living in New York. So I'm back in Canada this summer. I'm going to be golfing more this summer than I have in a long time. So I'm hoping to improve and hopefully break that score 90 because I've had a few chances, as we all have when we're kind of looking at a milestone for a score in golf. I think there was one time I just had a bogey out the last 2 holes and I went like triple, quadruple, 17, 18. So yeah, maybe this year.
Shout out Christopher Wrighton. You know, that's what happens though. You know, golf is shout out Shane Lowry. Really,
shout out Shane Lowry.
You know, were you involved in that debacle in any capacity, or did you profit
last week? No. But actually, speaking of Canadian Open, Shane Lowry was my big bet. And if you remember the Canadian Open last year, he made a big charge early Sunday. Like he was like 6 under through 7 holes. And I think he was 1 off the lead or maybe even tied for lead. Might have even had the outright lead.
Yeah.
And then I remember his hole 9, he missed a 2-foot putt for par. And then he like went 3 over on the back 9 and just was never really in it. But so I think we've all had our Shane Lowry experience. I was not involved in the Shane Lowry experience last week, thankfully.
No, I just had him top 5 and top 20 and in one and done because I figured I'll take a second place kind of thing,
sure.
Which was a great read until he T second, which cost a couple $100K for him and myself. But, you know, I pretty much doubled my one and done total for the year. So that was solid. You know, I'll take it at a non-signature event this week.
I don't know if I've ever predicted a golf event worse than I had last week. I think I had one bet make the cut. Haotong Lee, and he didn't do anything on the weekend. My one and done was Johnny Kiefer. He was my best outright bet. I did a couple other outright bets, even like my round by round, like 3-ball bets. Last week was horrific, terrible. So yeah, I got to bounce back.
So we go from the card, which is very volatile, to Bay Hill, which is probably as volatile as well. But I think at least we've got much better golfers playing this week, you know. So I'm kind of looking forward to I didn't lay too much on the line last week at all. Pretty much worst case scenario kind of happened, and I only lost like 3.5 units, which for me is not terrible considering, you know, 10 is what a first round leader, post round leader pays. So we'll take it. Let's dive into this week's course and field going forward. We have got Scotty Scheffler, Tommy Fleetwood actually sitting second in the model this week, which is kind of exciting. So we'll see what Tommy Fleetwood can do despite not really having better than a 10th place finish at this golf course over the last little while. It makes it kind of interesting. But how are you kind of reading the board right now? You know, are you like overly ambitious on somebody, or you kind of just...
Can I ask a question about Tommy Fleetwood?
Absolutely.
Tommy Fleetwood has won one event, the Tour Championship, right?
Yes.
On the PGA Tour, which was what, 30 men in the field?
Correct. 29 plus him.
He had the reputation for years that he would choke down the stretch. He couldn't win. He now has 1 win in a 30-man field of the Tour Championship, and I feel like people have forgot that I haven't forgiven him for all those blowing leads. Like, he's still a loser, right? Can we bet on him thinking that he can actually win a signature event just because he won the Tour Championship? Is the monkey completely off Tommy Fleetwood's back?
I'm going to answer it with this answer, because between you and I, we both know that he really hasn't won a PGA Tour event.
Right.
Anyone watching knows that he really hasn't won a PGA Tour event, you know.
Right.
But Tommy Fleetwood definitely believes that he's won a PGA Tour event. And I think that's the most important part.
Holding a 1-stroke lead with 3 holes left to go. Do you think Tommy Fleetwood's going to be like, oh yeah, I won the Tour Championship, I feel way better right now than I would normally? Or do you think his knees are going to be shaken like they were in every event leading up to the Tour Championship? Like, I don't think he's all of a sudden going to feel more confident standing on the 3rd last tee with a 1-stroke lead just because he won the Tour Championship. But maybe I'm wrong, but he has to prove it.
I will not be betting him outright anytime soon either. You know, I just don't think it's, and even when we were all rocking Tommy Fleetwood, it was at like 25, 30 to 1 kind of situations. And now we got Tommy Fleetwood who's like in the teens, you know,
right,
which
can't do it.
Which we can't do. And even this week in particular, I think I'll ask you this question as well. When it comes to course history versus recent form, would you lean into course history this week, or would you be leaning into recent form?
Course history a little bit more this week.
Yes, I couldn't agree. Yeah, I think course history is like paramount this week because I deep dived a couple guys. For instance, I'll just share some names like Keegan Bradley, Corey Connors. These guys haven't necessarily played the greatest golf entering the week for Bay Hill, you know, to start the year historically, and still have had great success at this venue, you know. So it is the first course that we'll see that's going to play over par on average, you know, for every round. So I
have a name I want to bring up who, because of course history, are going to bet on him somehow. But he's a long shot. So do you want me to bring him up now or wait until
let's rock and roll? I'm struggling to like really get into the meat and potatoes here. So skewer us.
Okay. Guy who has had success here at this course. I saw he is playing, unless I'm completely incorrect here. A guy who has played here 7 different times, never finished worse than 21st.
Okay.
2 top 5 finishes.
Okay.
Do you know who I'm going to say?
Yes. Is it Corey Connors?
No, we have not seen this guy golf yet in 2026.
Oh my. Hideki? No.
Sungjae Im.
That's what I meant to say. My bad.
Of course.
Asian persuasion there. Sungjae. So you're going to rock and roll with Sungjae off the bat, first event back?
I kind of want to bet him somehow. Like, I don't know how yet. I think I'm going to sprinkle maybe first round leader, but I mean, that might be a little aggressive because who knows what kind of form he's in, but hasn't golfed yet in 2026. But we're talking about course form or course history. And few guy, I mean, he hasn't won, only 2 top 5s, but he's never finished outside the top 21. Like, very consistent form. 3rd, 21st, 20th, 21st, 18th, 19th. So maybe just a top 20 bet. I obviously extremely risky. Who knows how he's going to play? He's coming off an injury, right? That's why we haven't seen him.
Yeah, wrist injury, risky wrist.
But course history, is it worth a sprinkle anywhere?
I will encourage you to just put him on the back burner and see what happens in round 1.
Yeah,
and then you jump in live. You know, I feel like live betting is a new way to kind of go about things nowadays, especially if you have some tentativeness over somebody. And who knows? I mean, maybe he's been playing great. I mentioned this on X, like JT and Sungjae both debuting in 2026 at a golf course that's probably got the thickest rough on the PGA Tour. Like, you've just come back from an injury. Now your first event back. I'm assuming they're both ultra healthy, considering, you know, what they're going to have to deal with here. But it's
what was Sungjae's injury? Because I know JT's was a back surgery, right?
Sungjae's with the wrist.
Yeah, neither of those are great.
that's not in thick rough, you know. Like, if you got a bad knee, like, it's not going to be dinged by like high impact volatility rough stuff, you know. Like, I don't know. I'm out on both of the guys unless they can show me something early quickly, you know. Then maybe we jump in on Sungjae for a top 20. But it's been problematic with the two there showing up with injuries.
Yeah, fair enough. I just saw that course history and I was like, "Ooh, might be something there."
Yes. No. I can't agree more. Let's move to some guys let's go to our guy that we're going to both bet right off the bat. Yeah.
Okay.
And we've both bet Matt Fitzpatrick to win this tournament. 30 to 1.
Is everyone on the planet betting Matt Fitzpatrick this week?
Everyone on the planet betted on Nico last week, and I'm going to try and just ride that steam with the people. The overarching thing with Fitz is he really fits this course, right? Like the ball striking is marvelous, and the biggest issue has been the putter.
Yep.
This year. What is exciting you about Fitzy this week?
Well, I believe with Fitzy, and I think Pat Mayo said this on his research show, possibly, that he's never lost strokes putting at Bay Hill. So if there's an event where Fitzy's going to turn things around on the greens, it would make sense for it to be Bay Hill, right? So he's already leading the PGA Tour right now in ball striking. We have no issues with his driving, no issues with his approach play. All he's got to do is putt, and he's always putt well here. So it makes too much sense, especially at the prices we were able to get him at. Like, yeah, I mean, I'd much rather bet Fitzpatrick than Tommy Fleetwood right now.
Exactly. And you can bet 2 Fitzes for the price of 1 Fleetwood. So,
right.
Well, at least when we got these numbers, that's the whole point of being in the Model Maniac Patreon is to, I'm not gonna promise you winners. I'm gonna promise you CLV though. Like almost all the time. That's my outright thing is.
You got Fitz at 30 to 1. I didn't get him at 30. You got him at 30?
Yeah.
Nice.
The place with the rivers flowing through it, there had some nice numbers hanging out, and we pounced. And I think I was looking at 25s and 22s, and like the 22s is like kind of rough, but
I got him at 26.
Yeah. That's cool. And you know what changed my mind significantly on Fitzy was seeing the putting so good at this venue. And I think there's just certain places, you and I both know this, like when you go to a golf course that you've played well at, the vibes are good. The confidence is there. You feel comfortable on the golf course. And I think 9th, 14th, and 22nd, when he wasn't necessarily the ball striker he is now, he has been scintillating this year with the finishes. It's kind of funny. He's also got 9th, 14th, and 24th as a finish when the course history is almost the same. So the Genesis Invitational, if he just gained anything putting, he's finishing inside the top 10 easily.
I feel like he hit every green that week. He was just like putting it to 20 feet and then 2 putt. I feel like it was every hole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that's the way to go about Fitzy this week. It makes too much sense. I'm waiting to get access to data or for someone to do this that has the ability to. And see strokes gained putting for a birdie putt versus a par putt. Because this is a golf course that you're going to probably see more 10-footers for par than you would for birdie. Call it 6-footers, 7-footers. And I think Fitz feels so much more comfortable over a 7-foot par putt than a 7-foot birdie putt. And I am the same. I don't hit nearly enough greens over my golfing career to feel comfortable over many birdie putts. I'm always going to make a par putt if I take a good look at it, So golf is a weird game, man. So I think this week with the course conditions, I think they're going to play firm. There's some wind showing up. I think Fitzy can get it done. And in fact, we've also got a Fitzy top 20 over here at -118 at DraftKings. Ty's paid in full. The ball striking is just too good. I mean, in the last 3 instances, he's finished 22nd or better in the 3 of the last 4, So that's going to really shine for us. He's been sensational this year in that department as well. I think if you're looking to get in on Fitz and you've missed the numbers on him for the outrights, I think this top 20 is a nice way to kind of still be invested in a guy that's could still lose strokes putting this week, and he's hitting the ball well enough to still finish inside the top 20.
Love that top 20. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I bet that recently it's still that numbers I believe is still out there. So you can definitely jump on that. I'm going to go to my next guy. It's going to be Rory McIlroy, 11-1, 5 places each way. That 5 places about +275 for the top 5. Obviously, the ties get dead heated if that does happen. But what's really fascinating about Rory, Ian, is this is the return of the McIlroy to Bay Hill, where he's played fantastic. When you mentioned Corey Connors, or Sungjae Im, there's like a multitude of guys that have very similar profiles to Sungjae, where his finish in the last 5 years is also his worst finish as 21st. But doesn't have nearly as many top 5s as Sungjae, which is kind of interesting. But when you take a look at what Rory's got up to here as well, I think he's also typically gained strokes putting or lost fractionally every time he's played, which is good to see. But Rory enters this week having gained strokes on approach that's only beaten by 2 other events in the last 25 tournaments that he's played. And it was the Masters and the Players, which he won. He gained an average of 2 strokes on approach at Genesis or the Players, and then like another 6 or so shots on approach at the other event. I can't remember which one was which, but regardless, the last 2 tournaments, he's gained like 14 strokes on approach, which is exactly what we're looking for here. And he really separates himself with the long iron. So I think he's primed and ready. And we're getting 11-1 on someone that just finished second at Riv. He putted like a dog on Sunday. I had to turn Sirius XM off when I was at the Hawkeye, the girls' game, and was driving back from Iowa City on Sunday, and I could not listen to Rory miss another putt. And they were the radio guys were really going on about how like bratish and just bitchy he was after missing them. You know, he wasn't like, okay, I'm going to make the next one. He's like, God damn it, I missed another one. You know, that kind of vibes. I need positivity from you. So maybe at this golf course, he's won it here before. Maybe he can get home for us. Your take on Rory McIlroy this week?
I agree with everything you said. I have no issues with any bet on Rory McIlroy this week. I'm just not a Rory guy. I think we all have those guys that are like popular near the top of the odds list, but we just never bet on them. I've just never bet Rory McIlroy. I just feel like the couple times that I just feel like it's one of those days where he just can't hit a putt, or he's terrible with his wedges. But he makes a lot of sense this week. Great course history, long irons, like you said, long irons huge at Bay Hill. Fantastic long iron player. That's massive. Yeah, I like it. I don't have any piece of Rory. Maybe I might take a look at maybe some Rory 3-ball bets in the first round.
A Rory top 5. Can I interest you in a Rory top 5 situation? Yeah, because when it comes to Rory McIlroy's finish rates, this is in the last 14 months.
Yeah.
He almost finishes inside the top 5 simultaneously when he's finishing top 10. 52% of the time he's inside the top 10. 41% of the time he's inside the top 5. You know, so if you're looking to get some value in this department, you're obviously losing money in the long term here on Rory because he's priced the way he is. But I think the course fit here and the course history makes too much sense, and his current form is phenomenal. I wouldn't be leaning into a top 10 bet on him because you're missing out on you're paying extra for a top 5, which you can pretty much he's doing 80% of the time when he's finishing inside the top 10.
I can get in on a top 5.
Okay. That's out there. I think there's plus 250s, plus 245s, plus 230s, something like that. Check it out. I know DraftKings is offering a 20% placement boost on your bets there. So that can help you get, you know, especially on a top placement bet that's at, you know, 2 to 1, 2.25 to 1 type situation. That's where you can find Rory. But you mentioned you're not a Rory guy. I bet him 3 times last year before he left Augusta. You know, he played 6 times, which was Augusta, his 6th one. He won 3 times, and I didn't land on him any of those 3 times. The other 3 times he played, he won those tournaments, and I wasn't betting him there because it was Pebble, the Players, and the Masters. Like if you said those 3 were the wins when you played Riv and the Farmers, played Torrey Pines at, you know, the Genesis, which was last year's Riv, sorry. And yeah, at Bay Hill, he used New Woods just randomly to just showed up and won a tournament, decided to change his tire, driver, 3-wood, 5-wood, and he was driving it like an idiot. So hopefully he learned his lesson and just kind of sticks with what's working for him right now.
Yeah.
Okay. You are up next with your next bet, and it's going to be a by the name of Jake Knapp. This man has been sensational. You know, talk to me about this man.
Yeah, I know we've been talking a lot of course history. Unfortunately, that doesn't apply for Jake Knapp. He's played here once and is, I think, outside the top 50. Yeah, 57th the one time that he played here 2 years ago. But I got a 40-1 at the start of the week, and I just couldn't look past a 40-1 for a guy who's finished in the top 11 every single event so far this season. A guy who's 2nd in scoring average, 3rd in total strokes gained, 1st in par 5 scoring, which is massive at Bay Hill. You got to be able to get birdies and eagles on the par 5s. Those are the scoreable holes. So just way too many things are lining up for Jake Knapp for me to not bet on him at 40-1. I don't think there's a 40 available out there anymore, unless I'm mistaken. But yeah, I think this is my 3rd time this season betting on Jake Knapp. So I am always terrified, and I think it's also my 3rd time betting on Fitzpatrick. I'm always terrified that I bet on a guy like once or twice, and then the first week I get off him, that's when they win. So I'm kind of betting Fitzy and Knapp have been my kind of two guys so far this year. So, either the betting market adjusts, or I'm going to keep betting, or eventually they'll stop playing well, and then that's when I'll stop betting on them. But I'll take Jake Knapp.
I love that, man. And he's doing two things that kind of matter here. The putting game for him has been amazing, and the driving has been scintillating as well. I mean, at a golf course like this, total drivers are imperative. You got to have either like hyper accuracy or hyper distance, or you just have to be like really good at finding fairways with decent amount of distance, like Keegan Bradley kind of situation. But I do want to mention on the course history thing with Jake Knapp, and the same thing happens with Tommy Fleetwood at this golf course. In 2024, he lost 8.5 strokes in one round. So I wouldn't freak out about it too much. He did gain in the other two. We won't mention the 5.5 he lost in the first round he ever played on this course either. But we are seeing a totally different Jake Knapp. This was 2 years ago. Was it prior to him winning Mexico, or maybe that was the year before in 2023? I can't remember. But either way, it's the par 5 that goes around the water that he hit, I think, 2 or 3 balls OB off the tee. He found the fairway and then hit a couple in the water. I think he made like a 13 or something on one hole. I think Tommy Fleetwood did the same thing. We went full tin cup on that the hole that Bryson almost drove the green on. So
this happened, I think it was literally the week after he won Mexico, because Mexico was in February.
There we go.
So that's probably why he got into this event to begin with, because he just won Mexico the week before.
But he was playing with the hangover.
Yeah, exactly. So throw that result
by the way,
out the window.
As a slight tangent / transition, your Twitter account at Iain MacBets is it what's your Twitter account?
Iain MacBets. Yeah, you got
Iain MacBets, correct. It's amazing because
thank you.
Your World Series, I don't want to bring up bad memories, but your World Series documentation of the events and the stuff that you went through, walking back from stadiums and things, it was as a non-Jays fan or non-Canadian, I could resonate with you. You really got across to the viewers there. And then your whiskey remedies and recipes during the Christmas time.
Yep.
What was that chocolate one with the bourbon and things? It was delightful. I couldn't find the.
Oh yeah, I had it was a cherry bourbon drink. Yeah.
Yeah. I went and
it was like a red velvet cake kind of cocktail. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love a good Christmas cocktail.
Oh, dude, it was delightful. And I've still now got all of that booze on top of my fridge. So, kind of dipping into bits and pieces as we go. But it's, if you need sports stuff, follow Iain. If you need emotional relevancy, follow Iain. If you need, Christmas cocktail recipes, follow Iain,
If you want to feel better about your sports teams, that they don't torture you, follow me, because you'll see how my sports teams torture me.
Because what, you're a Falcons fan, a Jays fan,
Jays fan, and a Leafs fan. So if you were to like name like the 3 teams that have blown like the biggest leads in sports the past 10 years, it'd be definitely the Jays in the World Series. Like I see all the time now, people are like ranking like biggest blown leads in championship game history. And now after the World Series, it's literally 28-3 game against Falcons Patriots. And then number 2 is Jays World Series. So, and I lived through both of those. And the Leafs, I know, NHL not as big in the States, but the Leafs have had their fair share of blown leads. It's thankfully not in the Stanley Cup final, but in the playoffs over the past 10 years. So it's a disaster.
I'm a Jets fan, man. And if you need to know how long I've been in the States for, it's the Jets. It's exactly the Jets playoff drought. So I decided to come over here in 2011 as a 19-year-old freshman. Thought Jets were way cooler than Giants. That's literally the decision I made. I had family in Jersey. So I'd go out there and I'd be watching games, at least once a year. And yeah, I don't even know what a devastating playoff loss looks like. I don't even know what a playoff looks like as a Jets fan myself.
Yeah.
So,
well, 2 things I want to say on that, not really quick, and then we can get back to golf. Number 1, I think it's our two teams have the two longest playoff droughts. I think it's Jets have the longest, and I think it's Falcons with second longest.
Oh my God.
Number two, the Jets' fandom is a perfect example of like what's better to like love and have lost or to never loved at all. Because like that's like, would you rather a team that like gets as close as you can possibly get and then gets your heart ripped out, or would you rather just never have any hope? It's a tough sports philosophical question to answer.
As the person on the outside, I'd rather want to feel something. You know, like
I get it.
If it's heartbreak, it's heartbreak. You know, but at least have some sort of excitement for a period of time. You know, it's like, but for me, it's like by the end of September, I'm just becoming a football fan again. You know, it's like not even like nothing relevant. I do remember crying in my uncle's basement when Ryan Fitzpatrick lost the Bills in the snowstorm when Rex Ryan went for it. Before analytics was a thing, Rex Ryan went for it like 5 times on 4th down with Tyrod Taylor in the snow. And we had Darrell Revis playing like 15 yards off one of the wide receivers every time, just giving them free first downs. Anyway, talking about free first downs, talking about some bougie bets over here. Let's dive into your man, your next guy. This is the final outright that we're going to have for our bets. I've got a couple more placements we're going to chat about, maybe play some back on 9 for the rest of the show. Talk to me, Iain, about Alex Noren at 85-1.
So I was mentioning earlier how we all have our guys that we don't bet on, and I guess guys that we do bet on. Alex Noren has been a guy I've bet on a lot the past couple of years. And now I can't like look past. I don't think enough people talk about how good he was in the fall swing. Won 2 DP World Tour events, and then finished runner-up, solo runner-up to Hideki at the Hero World Challenge. And now he's coming off a T12 finish at the Genesis Invitational. So a lot of really good play by Alex Noren, even though he's getting up there in age. How old is Alex Noren now? Is he in his 40s now, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Guess. Let's guess. Don't look. I'm going to guess I think he's 40.
I'll go with 42.
He's 43.
43.
So yeah, he's getting up there in age. But I mean, like it was just a few months ago. 2 wins on the DP World Tour. Second runner-up finish at the Hero World Challenge, T12 finish at Genesis, and he's a great scrambler too. His short game has been great so far this season. 4th in the field in strokes gained putting, so 9th I think in strokes gained around the green over the past 3 months. So if the conditions get bad, now this is a shortcoming in my golf handicapping, so I always forget to look at weather. Do you know what the weather is supposed to be like there this week? Because my point being, I think if the weather gets bad, I think that's when Alex Noren can shine.
I agree. The Euros particularly do well in the great shitty weather. I think the weather this week is looking to just be like what we had at the Cog. Kind of just kind of 5 to 10 miles in the morning, and then gets up to like 10 plus. 10 to 15.
So I need to hope for something to change on the weekend, because I think for Noren to win, which this bet is for him to win 85-1.
Yes.
I think we need some weather, because he's a scrambler. He's a guy who can scrape out pars. I don't know about his ability to rack up birdies. So
fair.
But I mean, that's kind of what the API is all about anyway. So maybe it'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to be trying to avoid doubles if the wind picks up kind of thing versus, less birdies type situation. And he's relatively accurate. And I do want to mention, for those that haven't listened to the Fantasy Golf Degenerates yet, or my show on Back 9 Bets YouTube channel, my personal one, we spoke about like how firm, because Florida, we saw early in the Cog, how firm the greens were. Guys were hitting like 9 irons, 8 irons into these greens, and the balls weren't like even stopping. They were kind of rolling out a little bit out of that rough, or even from the fairway, they were struggling to like really zip it. Bay Hill's even more difficult and firmer than the Cog. It's a course that actually they pride themselves on providing some teeth, whereas, the Cog is like the opposite. The members wanted to just look pretty and play ugly. But the other opposite is here, So if you're hitting fairways routinely, you might not even be the longest guy in the field, but if your ball is bouncing, say, even 15, 20 yards behind a Matt Fitzpatrick, for instance, you aren't even going to be that restricted, because Fitzy's ball might be landing in the rough and stopping immediately, where yours is sitting in the fairway and bounding forward, because it's so damn firm out here. So the accurate guys tend to find a bit more extra distance at a course like this, which Noren is absolutely in that realm.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
If I had a bet that you hate hated. Would you tell me that you hate that you hate it, or would you just say that you like it?
Well, I just told you not to bet, Sanjay.
That's true.
Until
You didn't say
see
you
something.
hated it, but yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I told you in a nice way that I hated it. So
Okay, you can be mean.
why? What was your concern? Do you think I'm?
I mean, Noren's a little out there, so I just didn't know if you actually agree with Noren, or are you being nice because I'm a guest on the show? Do you think Noren's worth a look? And if you hate Alex Noren this week, please tell me.
I love Alex Noren for a top 20 at plus 160.
There you go. Okay, great.
So
perfect.
There we go. I should have made this a little top 20 here, but he's someone
that's finish in the top 160.
The top plus 160. I know. This is what happens when you've just come from a doctor's appointment and you're busy firing off things into the banners and it's month in accounting. So I'm going to give myself a bit of reprieve. The same with Alex Noren's lack of distance. And this is the last 12 months worth of data that's going into this stuff. So we know Noren has definitely found his groove. If you take a look at the last 8 months is significantly better than the first, the last 12, which the last 8 months makes up 2/3 of the last 12 anyway. And it's still 0.3 strokes better because that first 4 months of the year wasn't necessarily the greatest. And like you mentioned, we saw him come across the line last week at Riv, 2 weeks ago at Riv. And at 29th at Pebble wasn't terrible either, So he's starting to find his groove a little bit. And I think the short game is definitely going to help him. The model's got him ranked 10th, man. He's the first 7K guy to show up here, and he's $7,300 in DraftKings DFS price. So I fancy that. And I think we can get behind it a lot. If you take a look at his top 30 rates, inside the top 30, 57% of the time, man. So it's a really nice bet, in my opinion, because he doesn't have that high. Maybe the 85. The 85 is still a big number. You're not like nuking the majority of your betting equity for outrights by placing an Alex Noren outright at 85-1 in a field like this. He can absolutely get it done, and we need him to just bring over that DP World Tour success to the US, and we started seeing it nicely. So,
what about even a little bit more conservative? You go top 30 even money.
I would lay that one. Absolutely. Yeah. So I fancy that a lot. Obviously it's one of his top situations there. So Alex Noren, friends, one of the models agree, the two models in the Sports Illustrated agree, and that's all that matters. It's our three opinions. So we're going to rock and roll with Alex Noren this week, and we're also going to rock and roll with DraftKings in the betting markets. Have a couple seconds from them, and we'll get right back to your regular paid programming. Thank you. Golf season has kicked off, and there's no better place to sweat the action than DraftKings Daily Fantasy, the ultimate destination for fantasy golf fans. Right now, our partners at DraftKings are giving new customers a shot to play free for their share of millions in prizes with their first deposit on the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app. It's simple to play. Build your dream lineup while staying under the salary cap, then sit back and watch as your players rack up points. Every birdie, every bogey, every clutch putt, feel the intensity of every shot. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app and enter promo code FGD to play free for your share of millions with your first deposit. That's for new DraftKings customers. Just download the Daily Fantasy app for your shot today. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most states. Restrictions apply. Minimum $5 deposit required. One single-use $3 ticket rewarded that expires in 14 days. Ends March 25th. See terms and conditions at DraftKings.com/promotions. Sponsored by DK. Boom, boom. Thank you, DraftKings, for sponsoring this wonderful show. And thank you, Iain, for joining us, and for all of you making it through that wonderful promo that I've cut. And you won't believe how nervous I actually get to cut promos. It's kind of weird for me. Even though it's not even live, I prefer to be live and just mess up than kind of do a pre-recorded thing.
Sure. Yeah, I always mess up more in pre-recorded things. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I feel you.
If you listen carefully, it's a 777 that Pat had to slice another 7 in there because I only put 3 7s when there's 4 7s. So make sure you put that 4th 7 if you have a gambling problem, people. Anyway, if you're watching the show, you probably don't, because you are good at managing your bankroll, because we preach that all the time on here. What's up, Barson. Let's chat on the chat here a little bit. We're going to chat about Chris Goddard up here shortly. Let's do Harris English. It's not a bet that I've placed yet, but I was bullish on this man, 19th in the model for me. And the thing I want to talk about is how he starts his tournaments. So we've got a second place here for him and a 21st in the last 3 years, which is solid, and nothing worse than a 27th or better than a 22nd. So he's just been Mr. Mediocrity to begin the year. But if you take a look at his round by round stuff over here for Harris English, he starts off in round one rather slowly, gains only half a stroke on the field on average over the last 12 months, but then starts shining in rounds 2, 3, and 4 and starts coming along stronger. So since we haven't placed the outright yet on him, I'm going to kind of 37 it's a little tough number for me to click, especially with Rory on the card and Fitzy already. I might be looking at Harris English as a live ad if he drifts into the 50s after a decent round one. You know, even if he has a bad round one, I'm still 75, 80 to 1. I will take a Harris English. I had him in a lot of best ball lineups because I have him basically in every single major future to win a major, whichever one it is, at 100 to 1 or so, you know, for all of them, because Harris English is like really good in hard conditions. So I'm all about it. If you take a look at the hard conditions, hard and hellish, he's gaining, you know, an average of a stroke, whereas Birdie Fests, he's only gaining half a stroke. So I think we can expect him to thrive this week. Any takes on Harris English?
Yeah, I looked at Harris English at the start of the week. His approach numbers concern me. But you make a great point about how he does better on tougher courses, which isn't something I had thought of before. Yeah, maybe a live play for me. I don't know if I can get there on his price.
Yeah,
based solely on, I mean, he's not been gaining strokes with his approach play. It's been with his putting kind of and his driving a little bit.
Yeah.
So if he has a solid round one and we see some positives from his approach play, then maybe that's a live bet for me.
Yeah. And at a hard course, you can kind of derive why he plays well in hard conditions when you got 27th in GRR rate, but 50th in approach strokes gained. Yeah. So he's not necessarily knocking it super close, but finding a lot of green irregulations. He's a great driver of the golf ball, actually, which is not a Harris English thing. You know, prior to the hip injury, he was pretty bad. And now we've got some juice coming from him. I think he doesn't check any boxes either, you know, 19th in the model. So that's why he's kind of off the card, but it is what it is. Also, shout out my co-host on Back Nine Bets on Sunday nights. Shout out to the 19th hole co-host there, Mr. Darbo at Sweet Spot DFS. Go check out his stuff over there. Let's dive into a couple more bets that I have, and I'm going to let you chat to me about the Sex Panther, Iain, Russell Henley. 60% of the time, he's inside the top 20 all the time, baby. Thoughts on Russell Henley?
Yeah, I like Russell. I feel like I haven't thought. Remind me how Russell Henley has played so far this year. I feel like I haven't thought about Russell Henley. No, that's a lie. I think I bet on him at Pebble Beach.
Yeah, same. He's 19th at the Sony, 8th at the Amex, 19th at Pebble, and then missed the cut at the Genesis Invitational. So 3 top 20s and an MC, whatever. I'm not too worried about him doing that at Riv at a soft Riviera, you know. Whereas I think a firm Bay Hill will definitely reward his skill set of hitting a lot more fairways. You know, if you take a look at what Russell Henley gets up to, he's 5th in fairway accuracy. So if he's 69th in a 72-man field in driving distance, he's going to get that extra distance by just peppering the fairways and getting a lot of rollout. And it's been validated by his results here. He's the defending champ, got a 4th in the year before that and a 13th in 2022. You know, he's made the cut here all 4 years. So he doesn't check the eye test as like a Bay Hill guy. But Colin Morikawa and Russell Henley finished 1st and 2nd last year, and neither of them is very long. Both very accurate and good iron players with relatively, I almost said good short game, but we mentioned Colin Morikawa in the beginning of that sentence. So I don't want to lie to you guys. But have I changed your mind a little bit on him?
Yeah, I could get in on some Russell Henley for sure. I mean, he is one of those guys that like he's a course history guy. He's a guy that like when he goes back to a course that he's had success at before, that's when he bet on him. And he's a defending champ. What else is there to say? So, are you taking any Russell Henley outrights, or are you sticking to top 20?
I'm just going to go with the top 20. I just feel like his game hasn't been like super there. but I'm also taking him as my one and done, which I think is super contradictory to have answered you that way. But I think the fact that his odds aren't necessarily the greatest in the outright market anyway, because they have a lot of respect for him in that department and the course history is being there. But I think the public doesn't necessarily have the greatest respect for Russell Henley because he's typically under-owned in DFS. He's typically overlooked by the betting markets in the outright department there, despite, seemingly getting across the line a couple more times than we expected him to. And I don't think anyone's going to play him in one and done. I think it's going to be a little bit more Rory, some Tommy, Scotty, maybe some Xander. Thoughts?
I'm adding him right now to I'm doing this DraftKings 2-place parlay that's boosted 20%. I'm going to add Russell Henley to the mix for that.
Does that get you pretty close to a even money type situation? I would imagine. So let's go. And, if you're going to place that bet, I would definitely place it with the ties paid in full because, I've kind of run the numbers. Then I think you want to be doing that if it's relatively close in price. So let's go. Russell Henley, I'll be playing him in DFS. He checks 5 boxes. It's good to see 5 of the 6. By the way, if you don't know what boxes I'm talking about, let's zoom in a smidgen over here. We're looking for hellish scoring. Showed you that already, the micro model. We are looking for strokes gained weighted over the last 12, 8, 6, and in 2026. And then we're also looking for some course history and then the total finish rates, which we have over here, and then the model ranking. Those 6 boxes will get you Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, checking all 6 of them. And then Russell Henley is the next. I don't think we have any other guys that check 5. So he's in a tier of his own, so to speak, literally. So let's see what he can do, man. He's too good of a player that finishing inside the top 20 like 70% of the time, man. That's just insane. He needs to play worse so that we can actually start calling him Sex Panther again, because there's no 60% here. We need it to show up on the board. But I'm a big believer in him, and I think we're getting a decent discount. If you've bet to win $100 on Russell Henley every single time he's played and bet him to win $100 in the top 20 market, you would have returned $510 in the last 12 months. So it is easily the third best behind Ben Griffin, Matt McCarty, and Russell Henley. And when you take a look at Ben Griffin's situation, he's only had 1 top 20 this year, which it's hard to believe because he was playing so well last year and then got married, and Kenny Kim called the prediction there and he's completely lost the plot. It was a wild wedding as well. Did you see the wedding photos?
No.
Oh my God, dude. Go find Ben Griffin on Instagram, or just, I think he was in some Vogue magazine or something like that.
I'm looking right now. He's got a monkey on his shoulder.
Exactly. So he needs to get the monkey off his back and start finishing inside the top 20 a little more. Yeah.
I feel like that's a bad omen to take a picture of a golfer like literally with a monkey on your back. That's not good.
No. And then you've got a wife that obviously organized the monkey on the other side of you there. So he needs to get it together, but he is one of the guys that his best split, although marginally, is hellish conditions. He finished 14th here in 2023. He is much, much better from further away. 200 plus, he's much better in that approach situation versus wedge play, which most of the tournaments we've seen has been mid-irons to wedges this week, is a bit more long iron play. So I think you can bounce back there. And then he's just a total short game guru. He's still very good at chipping and putting, and I think we're going to need a lot of that this week.
Wheels up in the chat, giving Sung J M a shout. Yeah, you must have missed it at the start. My expectations are for him to win, my friend. Course history.
Yes. Yeah. What are expectations for him to win? Exactly. So it happened pretty early in the show, probably about the 10-minute mark. Wheels up just shortly after that. So
I think we settled on we're gonna wait to see how round 1 goes, and then maybe go with Sung J. But if I am being completely honest, I did already sprinkle on first round leader.
No,
so.
that's
I
a
didn't
market
admit that earlier, but I did.
It's fine. I think it's totally fine because it's 1 round. I think
anything could happen.
Anything could happen. Also, I'm curious, how did you land up with an extra I in your name?
It's Gaelic. It's a Gaelic way to spell it.
Okay. Perfect. Nice, easy
I'm from Nova Scotia, which is on the east coast of Canada. Nova Scotia's Latin for New Scotland. A lot of Scottish people in Nova Scotia. So MacMillian, last name. And then, of course, my parents wanted to make my life difficult by giving me the Scottish spelling of Ian, which is I-A-I-N. So
yeah,
I get Lane all the time. People think the first I is an L. Yeah, I had an Uber ride this morning. Are you Lane? And at this point, I just go, yep.
If you want it to be that way, it can be that way. Shout out Wheels Up getting in the chat as well. We really appreciate you guys all being in here. Let's chat about the man that we had tons of heartbreak on last week.
Ooh, I'm out. I cannot do Shane Lowry.
Why not?
Well, you make the case for him. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You make the case for him, and then I'll counterpunch.
Okay. So as you can see, Shane's ninth in the model, which doesn't take into consideration the biases of what we saw. The model doesn't have any eyes. It's just, unlike Ian, who's got 4 eyes, the model's got 0. And we are looking at a Shane Lowry who couldn't quite believe what he did himself over the stretch of the bear trap there. But when me and Darbo were looking at Shane Lowry's run into Bay Hill, there were multiple instances where he's had heartbreak at the Cognizant / the Honda. And he's still, in the last 2 years, has finished 3rd and 7th, despite the catastrophic stuff that happens to him on Sunday at the bear trap. And he seems to get over it. I mean, if it was anybody else, I'd be concerned. But Shane Lowry is so good at dealing with heartbreak because it happens to him so often that it's just another day under the sun. Yeah, exactly. Us Jets fans, Falcon fans, Leaf, Jays, we just brush it off. We take it hard, but in a couple of days, we're going to be rocking and rolling again. And I think Shane Lowry's absolutely one of those names. He's been playing great. His worst finish this year was at the Dubai Desert Classic. He finished 26th. The Dubai Invitational, which is in the next column over here, he had a chance to win it and also shit down his leg in that one. Sculled out the bunker into the water to I think give Tommy the win or something. I can't remember who won it. It wasn't Shane though. So I think he's decent at figuring out the heartbreak. We got an 8th at Pebble, a 2nd at the Cog, and he plays well at these courses that he plays well at typically. I'm in, and I'm going to be betting him top 20 at plus 122. We're going to do a Lowry ladder, baby. Top 10 at plus 300, and then we're going to go top 5 at plus 690. We're betting to win a unit in each one of those departments. So if he just finishes top 20, we're probably going to make half a unit-ish anyway if the top 10 and top 5 don't come through. Obviously, as he gets into the higher places there, we could land up winning 3 units with the top 5, investing roughly a unit and a half. So your counterpunch on the Shane Lowry debacle.
You've already defended my counterpunch because my counterpunch was going to be like, I don't think he can bounce back after that heartbreak. But then he proved to me that he already has before in this exact same situation. So, yeah, I guess he can. I'm at the point now. I'm so happy I wasn't on Shane Lowry last week because I bet Shane Lowry a lot recently. I bet him on the Masters last year. I bet him at the Canadian Open. I bet him early this year. Was it a Pebble? I bet him. I feel like I'm just kind of done with Shane Lowry. I don't want to see his goofy face anymore on my screen with money on him. That's financially, you're probably right. The smart move is to bet on him in some fashion this week. I can't do it though. I don't want to look at him anymore.
Look, I don't want to look at him anymore either, but I'm still betting on him. He's one of his teeth are he's always clenching his teeth.
He gets mad at cameras and the media, and I'm done with him. I'm done for now.
But
I'm probably going to bet I'm going to bet on him at the Masters again, though. But for now, I'm done.
I gave my father-in-law a top 20 in every major Shane Lowry ticket for Christmas.
Hell yeah!
And we were loving life after Saturday. We were chatting hey, check Lowry in there. He went from almost winning the Masters to finishing 46th, I think, on Sunday. Utter meltdown. I think he sold his soul, what's it, Braveheart or one of the dragon movies where the guy shares the pain of the dragon or whatever. I don't even know what movie
not Braveheart.
Not Braveheart. It's
do
something
do
with
not
the heart.
Confuse him with my Scottish hero.
Exactly. If there's anyone what knows Braveheart movie, is it you? I know it's not Braveheart. It's something with a heart in it, I think. But anyway, he sacrificed a part of his soul for Rory to get home that day. And it was, it is what it is. We'll see what he can do. Obviously, there's no winning ticket on the screen here. I do not bet Shane Lowry to win tournaments, but I do bet him to finish top 5 because he does it. He's got 2 of them in the last 2 years of course history. Yeah, so I think it's a fun Dragonheart. Yes, thank you. Wheels up, Dragonheart. Yeah, old movie. I think someone needed a heart and they gave like dragons have 2 hearts or something. I don't know. It is what it is. I've only watched it once and it was just because it was on TV. But that's my Shane Lowry take there. I think he's an absolute viable option in DFS at $8,100. People will be off of him as well because a lot of people think like Ian, which is valid. It's a valid thought process for sure. And maybe this was the true final straw that broke the Lowry back. Like maybe it was, and he just doesn't show up with any life this week. I'm banking on him doing so, as he's always done in that department. That's it for me in the betting market there, Ian. Anything else you want to chat about? Are you got other favorite plays that you in the mood for? Did you say who your one and done was this week?
I think because I've already used Fitzpatrick and Knapp, so I think I'm going to take a shot on Noren. That's my one and done.
Ooh.
But I found a prop actually at DraftKings.
Okay.
Par 5 winner, which I'm guessing means the guy to finish with the best scores on the best like combined score on par 5s.
Mm-hmm.
Why not Jake Knapp? 41-1, leading the tour, par 5 efficiency, par 5 scoring, 3rd in total strokes gained behind Scotty and Rory so far this season. So I've never bet this market before. So I assume it's probably going to end in a dead heat. Like I don't know how much of a separation you can create on 16 par 5s, but why not? Right on the guy who's been the best par 5 golfer this season, Jake Knapp, 41-1.
Yeah, this season he has been sensational. And again, this micro model it's using every single hole's driving accuracy. It's using every single hole's driving distance and how far they would hit them. The average driving distance on 4 is 291 historically, but Knapp is projected to hit at 305, which is already, he's just so lengthy off the tee. But I mentioned the fact that it's a long-term metric because it's not going to relate as well as he's playing right now. He's shown up after if he wins a tournament soon, man, it could be the best story in the PGA golf year because of him losing his girlfriend over, the full swing. It's like, when you walk off the first tee after hitting your first shot and then you walk up there and give your girlfriend a kiss as like your beginning of the round mojo, he doesn't have that anymore, man. And he's finished 11th or better in every single start since, which I was very, very concerned about what he would provide us as an option this year. And he's proven me my concerns, irrelevant. So also I want to mention like most of the holes that he's playing is either like neutral or losing. The par 5 seem a little better for him. He's at least gaining a stroke on the first one there. And that's long term. If you take the current data for this year, it should be significantly better. You just mentioned that it's also, he leads the tour in par 5 scoring this year. So that's all you need to know. What is the odds on that one?
41-1.
I mean, that's nothing.
Right?
It's a sprinkle. So it's an easy way to get behind him there. I want to chat about a couple other, like if we're finding a couple names that you're looking to potentially bet that we haven't spoken about so far. Daniel Betted, a South African amateur. That's as much as I know about this guy.
Ooh, how'd he get in the field?
Probably won an amateur type event that got him a sponsor's invite type situation.
All right, I like it.
I don't know. Maybe an Arnold Palmer award, or we should probably know this if we're speaking about it, but I don't. The most profitable bets over the last year. Scotty Scheffler, obviously, but let's chat about Scotty. What is your take on Scotty this week after the year he's shown us so far?
I think I have the same opinion everyone has, where we need to see him figure out Thursday. As weird and as crazy as it is, it's wild that he's just 3 Thursdays in a row just completely played like junk. Is that coincidence? Is that just the factor of just a small sample size of events and something by coincidence has happened on Thursday all 3 times? Or Is he doing something wrong in the first round of events? I don't really know, but I can't back Scotty at his current price in any market until he proves that he can still play well on Thursday, because he has lost tournaments on Thursdays 3 straight times.
Yeah. And it's ever since I bet him for first round leader at the Waste Management.
Yes, I believe I also bet on first round leader.
Yes.
So yeah,
Fun.
That's our bad.
He's we killed the best golfer in the world on a Thursday. But if you're taking a look at the screen, for round one, even after the recent debauchery that he's had on Thursdays, he's still gaining the most strokes out of the 4 rounds on a Thursday. This was 3.8 strokes gained to begin the year. Like heading into the Waste Management Phoenix Open, he was getting 3.8 strokes per round on a Thursday. And I think he's lost strokes basically all 3 Thursdays.
Yeah.
So it's been very, very bad for him. And someone that attends many, many tournaments a year hasn't seen Meredith Scheffler on the grounds lately, which
what are you trying to say?
Which means that Scotty's up and down game is probably in the wrong department at the moment, so there could be a potential baby on the way, or I think you were assuming that they might be having troubles.
I didn't assume anything. You brought this up. Is this inside information? Scotty Scheffler marriage problems? No way.
No. I would say if I were to speculate off of that information, it would be that she's at home resting up. You never know what the deal is, but the fact that she hasn't been there, and the thing is, if you think about it this way, him showing up on a Thursday and playing complete garbage is probably because he was still changing diapers or something at some point recent. And then he gets to the tournament and then he gets in the groove of the tournament and all of those responsibilities are, he's probably got child duty from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday kind of thing, and once the tournament begins, then he's in the groove. So I don't know. Speculation. It's time will tell. I'll either be right or wrong in the next 9 months for sure. Maybe soon. Maybe hopefully sooner. We don't want a 15-month gestation period there for Meredith at all. So that's my take there. I think Sepp Straka is not a terrible option either. If you're kind of taking a peek
at Straka, yes, I almost bet Sepp Straka.
I mean, the long-term numbers still check out really nice. He's 5th in the micro model. That makes a lot of sense. The last 4 months has been a little problematic for him, but I think he also had a really good finish here the last couple times. He finished 5th here last year. So was that after recently winning the Amex? He hasn't really done too much outside of the Pebble second, which is still, really fancy in my opinion. I think also I'm going to be looking at an Aldrich Portgieter top 5, top 10 type situation as well. After he cashed us the Sports Illustrated top 5, 55-1 long shot, so that's something I think is definitely going to be on the cards. He's not going to be 55-1. I think he's 18-1 to top 5 this week, which is still fine. I'll take a gamble on that one along with a top 10 as well. I think he's starting to find his groove. And if you talk about a course fit, this is it, tons of distance off the tee, fantastic with the long irons, horrible around the greens for some, sometimes, but he might not be a terrible option for par 5 leader either. And he might be, he makes eagles with ease from 250 yards. So we'll see what he does. Scooting through a couple more names. Robert McIntyre is somebody that I absolutely adore this week. 11th here in 2025 and hasn't really done anything this year. I think the Sony played kind of difficult in the wind, and I think he needs difficult conditions to thrive. And when I say I think, I mean I know, because he gains 1.5 strokes in hellish conditions, which is going to be this week. I mean, Birdie Fest is losing a full stroke to himself on hellish conditions. I think that's the way to kind of target Bobby Mack. Andrew Putnam is somebody that you can potentially find a little sneaky on, because we've got a 4th and an 8th here, and he fits the same profile as being a super accurate guy that's decent with the irons and around the greens, just can't putt. That can happen and change any given day.
Thoughts on Andrew Putnam last week. I bet him last week and he missed the cut. So
yeah, but we just spoke about this earlier. Don't get off the guys that
I know.
And what is you're probably getting him at better odds this week in obviously a much stronger field. But that finishes of 8th place was in a signature event, man, in 2024. So is he the same guy? I don't know. We saw him finish second at the Amex just a couple of days. Like the only person to beat Andrew Putnam was Scotty Scheffler.
Fact.
So fact. Corey Connors also, I think, maybe a last minute top 20 ad here. I mean, it just makes too much sense as well. But the model doesn't like him that much. And that's going to be it from me with the model over here. Thank you all for tuning in. Iain, go ahead.
I want to say one last thing. I have one more bet to give out. This is a golf show. I'm not talking PGA Tour. I'm not talking Live. I'm talking LPGA.
LPGA? Not even
I love to bet on the LPGA.
Okay.
Has an LPGA pick ever been given out on the show?
I don't believe so, no.
Ayaka Furaway to win this week's Blue Bay LPGA, just north of 12-1.
One more time for the people that thought you were clearing your throat there.
Ayaka Furaway.
Say it 3 more times for me.
Ayaka Furaway. It is a Japanese woman.
Mm-hmm.
When I lived in New York, I went and covered the LPGA event that is at Liberty National.
Mm-hmm.
First LPGA shot I ever saw in person was Ayaka Furaway holding out for eagle on the first hole.
Sick.
She is a fantastic ball striker. There has been 2 editions of this event, the Blue Bay LPGA, which is in China. She finished 3rd both times. She's played solid so far this season. Yeah, there you go. She has played solid so far this season. Course history, huge. Weak field this week too for LPGA.
Okay.
So
let's go. Absolutely. Your inaugural maiden LPGA bet that's ever been given out on Back 9 Bets here on Mayo Media Network is Ayaka Furaway. Did I get that? Yeah.
Nailed it. There you go. I was hoping I was going to be the first LPGA pick ever given. So let's see if I can get a winner there.
That would be awesome. I shall be tailing that blindly with my Ayaka Furaway senses in full. I might even just rock some red lipstick the next couple days just to kind of get us home there.
Done.
Iain, tell the people where they can find you, how they can find you, and why they can find you.
Yes, you can find all my written work, si.com/betting. You can follow me on social media, all platforms, Iain MacBets, IAIN MacBets. I'm doing a challenge where I'm betting $100 a day every day for a year, which has been an adventure. I'm 58 days into it, so we'll see if I can survive the next 300 days, I guess.
Well, no, stop talking now. Tell me more about that. Sorry. Tell me more about how's that been?
To be honest, it's been a little bit of a headache. It's fine during the week, but then like I'm a busy guy. I got stuff to do on the weekends, and it's like, oh, I got to record this video. I got to research picks. I got to put out picks. But I like these dumb challenges. The NFL season, I bet all 272 NFL games. I bet every single game of March Madness. I like doing these dumb challenges that no way. Well, really, the challenge is if I can finish profitable. Even if I'm up $1 at the end of it, that's a massive success in my opinion. I am right now, as of recording this, 101 wins, 114 losses, 1 push for a loss of $165.54. So I am down, but I'm within reach. It hasn't been a disaster. I win some, I lose some. So it's been fun to do. So follow me on social media platforms and follow along. That's a fun little challenge that I guess I'll be doing for the next 300 days.
That's exactly.
I'm going on my honeymoon in Greece in April and May, end of April. Or like I told my wife, I'm going to have to record these videos like in Greece on our honeymoon. And she's not happy about it. She's like, get someone else to do it. I was like, I can't get someone else to do it. It's my thing. I have to do it. So for 2 weeks, I'm going to be, I guess, find a way to record these videos in Greece. So I didn't think of all that when I started the challenge, but we're 58 days in, so no stopping now.
I don't think anyone's going to be mad if you're just doing it like with your phone on a beach somewhere and just giving out like one $100 bet type situation.
That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Like find one bet when my wife's like in the bathroom or like going to get drinks at the bar. I'll just quickly record it and put it away, post it and then put it away. And then that'll be it for the day. I'll see if I can sneak away for 30 seconds each day. So
we're going to really, really see if the Mrs. MacMillian is into Iain at all if they come back from the honeymoon still married after.
Correct.
I think that can be a bet. One of the bets can be, do you come back still married?
Yes.
And,
If I'm recording those videos from the streets when I get back from Greece, then you'll know that it did not go well.
Or if you're recording them still when you're in Greece, it's because you're staying there now.
Yes,
so,
correct. Or that's also
we'll see how it goes. Awesome stuff, Iain. Thank you so much for coming on the show, my friend. You can find all my stuff on the Model Maniac Patreon, link in the description below. Don't forget to hit the like, hit the subscribe on all the Mayo Media platforms. Shout out Pat. He does a phenomenal job doing all of this stuff. And that's about it from me. Thank you so much for all tuning in. We will catch you guys next time. Peace.